Hey everybody, welcome back to Transsexual Sunday. I am Diana Salami, your hostess. And so those who have been coming in here know the spiel. We're not here for anybody under the age of 18. We're not here to groom anybody. But today I have tried to groom myself a little bit. So I'm also not here to argue or to debate my life or whether you think it's okay or not. That's not why I'm here. Because I really don't give a damn what any of you think. Except for those few people who do follow me, who do want to understand what transsexualism is and what's the difference between transsexuals and transgenders. And what better way than to answer a question that was put forth by one of my viewers. So if you're interested in that, then come right on back. So I've written down the questions. Well, it's just one question that's elaborated on by one of my viewers. I'm not really sure whether they really want my answer or whether they're trying to find a way to pick at me or pick a fight with me. Either way, I don't care. I'm going to answer it. It's something that I think that we need to discuss. I would like to see this is a Say Something Wig Day. Okay, Diana, what would you say the difference is between a transgender and a transsexual? Would you consider yourself a post-op transsexual different from someone like Blair White, who is a non-op transgender? Well, for one thing, Blair does not wear the label transgender. She wears the label of transsexual. So I cannot use her as an example. She is non-op, but a lot of transsexuals are non-op for different reasons. So I can't judge her by that. So I can talk a little bit about what I think the difference is. Well, there are true transsexuals out there. And those people actually feel that they really are born into the wrong bodies. People argue that all the time now, but we actually feel that we are. That's the reason we're so comfortable. Once we transition to live as who we think we are, most of us blossom and become whole human beings that can go out and live our lives and be happy and feel right. And if it takes a transition, and in my case, surgery, to feel that and not cause trouble with people, we go out and live normal lives doing whatever we would have done if we had been born that way. That's what a transsexual is, regardless if they have surgery. Some transsexuals can never even transition, but it's what's in their heart. Because true transsexual is not going to go out and cause trouble that these people that are using the transgender label are doing. when they first started using that word transgender, it was pushed by the transvestites, cross-dressers, because they wanted to legitimize themselves. So let's just put everybody under this label, including the transsexual, so that we can tell everybody we're all the same when we're not the same. Most of those people started off as transvestites and cross-dressers and were able to marry and have children and have successful lives as men. This is my opinion now. I'm not educated on any of this. This is just how I feel in my heart, because I've been around a lot of those people. I don't even pick up a female vibe from those people. I pick up a vibe of somebody who wants to dress up as one and wants to emulate how they think a woman would act. So they have to think about it before they do it. A transsexual just does it. It's just how we are naturally. We react to things the way you would think, in my case, a female would react, because that's what's in my mind. That's how I think. I don't have to sit and think, well, what would a woman do in this situation? Then I would have stayed the way I was. If I had to pretend, it wasn't something I wanted for anything exciting, just to feel normal in my own skin. That was all it was. So that's the difference I see between transsexual and transgender. And you know, today with everything up underneath that label, gosh, non-binary, anything and everything is under transgender. And we're all the same. No, you're not. And I advocate to get transsexual taken off of the transgender label, or out from under the umbrella, so that maybe we can join the LGB again, because we all got along in the old days. I know in my situation, I started in the gay bars, not as a gay man. It was the only place we could go back then if we wanted to go and socialize and have a drink, dance, somewhere we could comfortably go without worrying about somebody harassing us if they found out. So yeah, I started in the gay bars. And those people supported me. And they gave me a place to be when I had nowhere else to go. And I still have friends from those days. But they all respect me as the woman I am, the woman I feel that I am. And that's another thing. I'm tired of apologizing, and I know I was born a man, and I will never be a woman, and all that shit. You know, I know I have done that because I know, like all transsexual people know, how I was born. But I do honestly feel that I'm a woman. So I'm tired of apologizing for all that. If you don't like it, you can just kiss my ass, because I don't care. I had to suffer before I transitioned and had surgery, and I have lived a great life since, and you can't take that away from me. And I felt as if I was a woman, and most 99% of the people in the world thought I was too. So I'm just, it's it. That's it with me apologizing for not wanting to hurt the genetic-born females, hurt their feelings anymore, or all these right-wing people who want to make sure you know you're not really a woman. Well, in my heart I am. Okay, the person also asked, he said, moreover, which type of transsexual on Dr. Harry Benjamin's scale would you consider yourself? Well, there's 3 types of transsexuals. And actually, some of these modern-day transgenders would fall within that category because it says they are intermediate transsexuals are caught up between transvestism and transsexualism. They like to dress and they like to, do all this stuff, but they would never take it that far because they knew who they were. But this was back in Dr. Harry Benjamin's day. I think this book was written in 60-something. I know I bought my first copy in 69, but it had been written earlier. And he was a godsend for me to figure out I wasn't alone, because up till I got that book, I thought I was alone. I knew nobody else. I knew nothing about. I had heard of Christine Jorgensen, but I didn't know anything else. I'd never read her book then. And so all I knew was what I read when there would be a clipping in the newspaper. Back then they said she was the world's first sex change, but of course she wasn't. And I don't believe she ever said she was either. But that's just what the news media grabbed, and it would say that like 20 years and 25 years when their anniversary would come along, they'd say the world's first sex change, 25 years later. But that's all we had. And then when Dr. Harry Benjamin's book, when I got my hands on it, when I was, I believe, 12, maybe 13. So I was 12 in 67. So it was 67 when I bought that book. I bought my copy of Dr. Harry Benjamin's book in 1967 when I was 12 years old. So I learned about it pretty early. So by then I knew what I was going to do. It was in my mind. But the other two types of transsexuals are the true transsexual and the full-fledged transsexual. The full-fledged is what I feel like I am. That's the ones that feel like they cannot function any other way. And even in the old days, before there was surgery available, true transsexuals usually would leave home so that they could try to live as a woman. Even before they could think of to get surgery, they just could not do any other way. And they wound up in the gay scene, the only place they could go. Most of them ended up as prostitutes or stage performers because that's all they had. But that's who I feel like I would have been. So, yeah, I've got a little clip I'm going to put here at the end of this. And it's an interview in 1967 with a Dr. Taylor. He was a professor of psychology at the University of New Zealand. He was big in his area like Dr. Harry Benjamin was here in the States. And he went all over the world speaking to medical conventions and doctors trying to show them what transsexuals were. So I'm going to put that up here. Hope y'all enjoy it.
I asked a man who had studied this phenomena for nearly 20 years to define for me just what a transsexual is.
Transsexuals, they are an extreme group of transvestites whose desire is such that they wish to change their body shape to make it conform to that of the opposite sex. So that, for example, you will get a man who has been living and dressing as a woman, who feels he is a woman, who then tries to get breast augmentation in order to make his bust appear like that of a woman, and he may reach the point of wishing to have his penis removed and testicles removed and maybe the creation of an artificial vagina. This is becoming possible medically and technologically now.
Just how prominent do you think they are really becoming?
Well, they are becoming more prominent now because, well, we're hearing more about them. We're becoming more of an open society. I wouldn't say a more permissive society, but we're becoming more courageous about looking at people with particular needs. And I think this is a healthy development in our society rather than one that shuts people out who don't absolutely conform to some kind of sexual stereotype. I don't want you to run away with the view that women lead a blameless path through life and through development, because much as I would like to be able to say so, this isn't necessarily so, and that some women are as troubled in this respect as are some men.
Well, these people seem to be in a sort of limbo, physically and psychologically. They're neither really male or really female.
Well, no, there's no limbo physically. They are physically members of one sex. There's no genetic, no hormonal, no anatomical deviation, no ambiguity. They're not hermaphrodites. There's no ambiguity there at all. It's psychologically. They feel that they belong to the opposite sex.
You mean there is no physical basis?
Oh, none at all.
They say that, in fact, they've got more female hormones.
Of course. Well, some of the men do take female hormones in order to induce breast development. And some of the women take male hormones in order to reduce breast development. But biologically, no study throughout the world has yet revealed any deviation, any biological deviation. So the problem is essentially psychological and, in some cases, psychiatric.
Well, I think popular attitudes towards these people might be that either they're mentally sick or that they're criminals.
Yes.
What, in fact, can be done to help these people?
Well, look, mentally sick or criminals, insofar as it's an emotional disorder, then there is the dis-ease, the lack of ease. Insofar as it's criminal, it's not criminal to cross-dress, provided that you're not doing it to evade the criminal law for some other action, and that you're not hanging around public lavatories and that sort of thing. Some transvestites are criminal insofar as they might pinch money, they might steal checkbooks, they might be involved with assault, as some of the people who've been on your program, I understand. But that is not an essential feature of their transvestism and their transsexualism. Indeed, homosexuality is not either. It can be involved with some, but it need not in others.
Is it possible to help them revert to wanting to be male?
No.
It's not?
No. The most one can do is, after full investigation, that is, if they have been like this for a long period of time and they are moving in circles that are appropriate to the sex to which they have assigned themselves, the most one can do is to help them manage to move and to mix freely. Some do this to a remarkable extent. They're not exhibitionistic at all, they're not making money, they're not out of their condition, they're not out to capitalize, they're not extravagant, they're not exhibitionistic. But they're moving very peacefully and satisfactorily, working and living like ordinary members of the community.
Well, should we then try and assist them to becoming fully female? I
think so. I see no reason for not helping them to make an adjustment, to make some of their biological factors conform to their psychological. However, they will never be able to be fully female insofar as they will never be able to sire children or to bear children.
The sex change operation, do you think this is something that should be available in this country to those who want it?
Well, to those who want it, I would think only after full investigations have been carried out and that it's done by competent teams of consultants who discuss the issues quite freely with each other and are involved with the patient's legal advisor, then I would see no reason for not doing it. I personally wouldn't want to be involved with sex change on demand. If others wish to, that's their concern. I wouldn't, because I would need to feel that there is a clinical component that has some degree of need, real human need, and desperate human need, and that the whole procedure was one that would be likely to be of service to the given individual. rather than just a passing fashion or a passing phase, like dyeing one's hair or putting a wig on or putting a wig off. And also, of course, mistakes cannot easily be rectified. One wants to be absolutely sure that the procedure is reasonable, it's competently carried out for the best interests.
Hey, y'all, I forgot to show you. This is my copy of Dr. Harry Benjamin's book. So it's a great book. I'm going to read you a little bit out of it. Okay, I'm going to read you out of Dr. Harry Benjamin's book on the subject of the male transsexual. Readers of the foregoing chapter already should be fairly well acquainted with the transsexual, a man who wants not only to appear as a woman by dressing as one, but who actually wants to be a woman in appearance as well as function, and wants medical science to make him such as far as that is possible. In other words, it is the man who suffers from a reversed gender role and false gender orientation. He wants to change sex. As we have seen, these persons in a strictly scientific sense fool themselves. No actual change of sex is ever possible. Sex and gender are decided at the moment of conception. Sex persists, as for all practical purposes, such can and has been accomplished as far as the individual's future life and position in society are concerned. The alteration from male to female concerns only the visible genitalia and secondary sex characteristics. To the extent of external appearance, it can be successful and convincing. Okay, I bought my original copy, like I said, whenever I was 12 years old. But when I opened it to the back and saw these pictures, as a 12-year-old, to know. I didn't even know what sex was yet, but I knew I wanted to be a girl. There was no sexual desire to this. This was who I felt like I was. So, that's my book. It's something that every transsexual person needs to read, and I got this vintage copy on eBay because I lost my first one. I paid a lot of money for this because it was from the 60s. And you can, if you can't find a copy, you can find it online where you can print the pages out. And you can see. It's a lot of printing to do, but I did it until I got this. I've also got my copy of Christine Jorgensen. And it's a signed copy. It wasn't signed for me because I got this on eBay too, but I was tickled to get it. I had never read her full story. Yeah, it's interesting. She was one of Dr. Harry Benjamin's patients. He was the one who recommended her for surgery. So, he mentions her in his book, and she mentions him in hers. So, all right. Have a nice day. Signing out.